Hello, today I'm joined by my guest Richard Reeves from M&M Estate and Letting Agents. How you doing, Richard?
Yeah, very well. Very well, thank you, David.
It's great to talk to you. We're here today to talk specifically about one particular supplier that you've been using, and that's Complete ASAP. Um, a lot of agents feel quite hesitant in terms of using outside services to supplement their sales process, sales progression. This is obviously a completely different scenario, but helps to relieve a lot of the pressure in
Yeah.
pipelines, in teams, but especially when you're busy. So tell us what life was like before Complete ASAP and why you decided that that was a solution for you.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right about outsourcing. It is yeah, it's a
It's
scary,
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 isn't it? Yeah.
yeah. And I think initially when we started talking to Complete ASAP, we were tentatively we'll give some tester files just to test like the water, but actually straight away we were yeah, do you know what? This is the right route for us to go. But certainly before, I mean, obviously we've navigated recent years, but of course with all the stamp duty holidays, and we mainly did it in house, as in myself as sales manager would progress all of our properties, all of our cases and files, and it worked. But then we were at that point we were at crossroads of we want to get bigger, we want to grow bigger, but felt with me kind of sometimes or most days being off of the front line and kind of on the progression side, it just wasn't really going hand in hand. We did actually then employ a progressor, like within the office, on a kind of somewhere between part-time and full-time basis. It worked to an extent, but things like holidays, obviously sickness cover, just
Yeah.
things like that. And yeah, it was just decided more so on their side, it just wasn't quite right. So at that point, our pipeline we were looking at and thinking, okay, is it enough to warrant getting another progressor in to come and do that? Or actually, could we just do it on a case by case basis of let's see if it works? And it was a big mindset to overcome, but let's see if it works. And actually, I mean, it's one of the best things we've done in recent years. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, it was. We put a few across. We quickly then realised, yeah, this is a process that seems to work. Clients were giving good feedback, which was most important for me. That was the most important thing. And actually, the reason we didn't want to outsource
Yeah.
is if there was an issue on a sale, if there was discussions that needed to be had with buyers, sellers. I kind of had that. I want to make sure everyone is 100% satisfied with the service that we give. And if you're outsourcing that, you can't ever guarantee that.
It's a great amount of trust, isn't it? And I
Mm.
remember so having the same experience when I was an estate agent back in the day, we also used Richard's team at Complete ASAP, and I threw them a couple of test cases just to see how they got on. The minute that it kind of clicked for me that this could be a way forward was when I saw the review come in at the end was actually left for the person that handled them.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
referred to that sales progressor, even though they weren't part of our team,
yeah,
as being part of our team. And I saw actually there is a way forward where you can have almost the same level, the same level of customer service that we
yeah,
prided
yeah,
ourselves on
yeah,
offering. We actually realized was being offered by Complete ASAP at the
yeah,
time. So
yeah.
yeah, I mean that sounds like you've had the same experience.
Yeah, and certainly as the time's gone on, I mean, we started to use I'd say ASAP, but we started to use sort of ASAP July 2023. And as I said, it started off really well. I'm not going to say that it's been sort of plain sailing sort of then, but actually the times where there had been kind of bumps in the road, um, actually their dealing of that was really, really impressive.
Yeah.
Any issues that we had generally were dealt with within 24 hours and we were back on track. And for me, that was a great time to think, okay, yeah, this is for us for the long term. But you're right. I mean, progressors that we've had since using them have had great feedback. We try to incorporate them within our team in
Yeah.
terms of what we talk about on valuations. It's knowing them in terms of so then clients feel when it gets to that progression stage, they're already aware of who
Yeah.
it's going to. is going to be dealing with
They're
it.
prepared for it, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's it. Yeah, exactly that.
And I suppose it's kind of nice to add into your pitch, if you like, that a professional team of sales progressors will be handling that element of the sale almost as a specialism, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. And I think because, some agents, and we were the same before, and actually I would have been one of those that would have said, "Oh, why would you want to be with an agent that's
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
outsource that rather than do it internally?" But actually, if you've got an office where, let's say, even if you have a designated sales progressor in your office and they're off for a week, then suddenly you've got someone picking up on the files who isn't aware of what's going on or where they are, or whereas, the best part about, I suppose, with ASAP is if someone's off, whether it's for a day, whether it's for a week, whether it's to change progressor, suddenly you've got someone else straight away that's going to back them up,
yeah.
um, and jump onto the files. So I tend to find, again, we rarely ever get any clients saying to us, I've not had an update, I've not been called, I've not been emailed, I've not had the updates on their operating system that they use. And for me, that's the best part, because that's then allowed me to concentrate on our agency growing. And I suppose in the past and recently, I've accustomed a lot of what we have done because we've had that backup from Complete ASAP.
And I suppose even in the sort of most efficient of offices, you will have other things going on around you the whole time. So, the phones will be going, people will come in with a set of keys, they can't be ignored. So very often sales progressors get pulled off to do other things.
Yeah,
And,
yeah,
that's not going to take up all of their day, but it will detract from that process. And so I suppose having specialist sales progressors also allows you to cut down transaction times because you've got more concentrated effort on one sole area of progression.
yeah. You know that it's always moving forward, and I think that's the most important part. Is because actually, if they don't feel it's moving forwards, they're very much, as a company, right, our focus is then onto the solicitor to push it forward and enable it to push forward. Whereas, I find, especially not necessarily a progressor within an office, but if you've got a sales negotiator whose just job is to just chase a file each week, then all they're going to be doing is just making sure, well, they're up to date, but actually, has it been moved forward? And I think, the term in terms of them being sales progressors, that's for me what I've certainly seen in our experience, that they are progressing the sale as opposed to just chasing the sale,
Yeah,
which is a big key for us.
yeah. Become progressors and not chasers.
Yeah,
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 it is definitely the way forward. So in terms of the end users, so that's your clients who are entrusting you with the sale of their single biggest tax-free asset.
yeah,
Always a lot of pressure there to deliver, but obviously your reputation locally as well precedes you, and that's what gets you in through doors.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
that has enhanced things rather than detracted from it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. I mean, we've been in the town now 40 plus years. Always in that time had a really good name, reputation, and again, that was part of from when I sort of first started here and up until now, of thinking, do I want to outsource? Because I know that I can protect that to some degree, but actually, yeah, like you said, it has been enhanced, and I think because I've then been able to kind of so much as become that backup of talking to clients, buyers, sellers, as and when needed to. Very rarely do I have to kind of step in to really push something on, because it's kind of always being done in the background. But sometimes it's nice to actually be able to just pick up the phone to a buyer or seller and just have a
Yeah,
property conversation with them.
yeah.
Um,
Without any of the tensions of the
yeah,
progression. Yeah,
yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
and I actually think it allows you to leave the transaction on
Mm.
a much more people. I think in general, one of the discussions we have within a state agency is, do clients come back to us and do they remember us as being the people that gave them outstanding service? Or do they remember it as being one of the most stressful
Yeah, yeah,
transactions of their
yeah,
life? And
yeah.
what used to bother me is how we said goodbye. That
Mhm.
sometimes how we say goodbye was at almost the peak of all of that tension. But interestingly, what you're saying is we're taking that kind of element out of it, you get to nurture that client relationship, don't you?
Yeah. I mean, we had a chain of two a few weeks ago. Issues on completion. It was due to be a simultaneous. It rolled from one day to the next. Ultimately, solicitors that were out of our or ASAP's control. But we worked really hard to. And actually, if we or ASAP weren't involved at that point, it would have gone from day to day
Yeah.
and perhaps might not have even happened. But the very fact that our buyer of our property, who was also selling but through another agent, was then in a position where they'd already more or less vacated their property, so ended up in a hotel, which is the worst
Yeah.
possible outcome that you can have of a client. When collecting the keys the next day, when we did complete, basically the service that we provided, but very much backed up and
Yeah. With
consolidated by SAP, was when we move again, we'll come straight back to you
but that
and ask me to pass on the best possible feedback to our sales progressor. And straight away, it's okay, we're in the worst possible situation, but they know that we've been the catalyst to actually get it
yeah.
done collectively together.
Yeah, no, that's superb. I mean, and it shows that really, in effect, it cuts down transaction times
Hmm.
as well, which I think in this climate where transaction times have sort of found themselves elongated for all sorts of reasons, that's a real unique selling point, really,
Hmm.
for your agency. So it sounds like the next questions I'm going to ask you are fairly natural, but I only have two more, and then we'll let you get on with your busy day. But in terms of the team at Complete ASAP, in terms of your communication with them, and the customer service you've had from them as opposed to your customers, how have you found that?
Really good. As I say, our team here, our sales team, very much treat everyone at ASAP as though they are part of our agency as
Yeah,
well. And I
that's
think it's
great.
nice to have that relationship. I think their structure is really good. So in terms of the quoting team, the team that we send a memorandum of sale to, of course, naturally our sales progressor as well. You know, it's everyone kind of has their role within ASAP. And if you need to speak to a specific department, they're always on hand. Quite frankly, their responsiveness is great. So if you do call, they're on the other line,
Yeah.
they'll call you back. If you email them, they'll email you back. And I think that's been really good. And obviously our clients have seen that as well. But certainly from us as an agency, yeah, we're really pleased.
No, that sounds good. And then my final question, if so then therefore I gather the answer to this is going to be yes, but you wouldn't have any hesitation in recommending Complete ASAP to anyone who wasn't your direct competitor.
No, yes, yeah, good point. Well phrased. No, I wouldn't, not at all. When I look at not just the clients that we've had and that we've helped and how the teams responded, but actually as a business, I looked back in terms of July 23 when we first made that leap, as
Yeah.
it was, and it is a leap to bring ASAP as part of our business, and our pipeline has 2.5 times. Now, yes, that's a massive effort as an agency and the direction we've gone, but we perhaps couldn't have made that bigger step in that shorter time if it wasn't for the time that's just freed up by not having to deal day in, day out with that level of contacts and calls. And obviously, ASAP being able to take that forefront, has been a blessing for us.
And as I say goodbye to you, the principal audience for this sort of content is other agents
Mhm.
like you or I that are looking at different solutions and trying to sort of get a handle on it. But we do know that occasionally members of the public will be watching this as well. For tell us a little bit about the area that M&M serve and just yeah, a little bit
Yeah,
about
yeah.
shout out to
Primarily
you guys.
Gravesend, Northfleet in within Kent. It's our sort of core area. Obviously, being independent, we can stretch out further and do, and we're successful wherever we go because for me, it's that blend of traditional and modern marketing. You put the two together, and yeah, for us, certainly over the past few years, it's worked wonders.
Yeah, no, it certainly does seem that way. And you know, innovative ideas like this that really sort of help deliver value to the clients and allow you to go back to having proper relationships with the clients where you can
Mm,
help them, as
mm.
opposed to getting bogged down sometimes in what I sometimes see as contentious admin, because you're constantly just shoveling paper from one end of a desk to another, hoping that the solicitors in between will get their heads together and move it forward. But what you guys do truly concentrate on the client's needs, and I think that's absolutely superb. Richard, thank you so much for your time.
No, thank you. Thank you very much.